I still remember the sound of her voice when she said it. Sharp, steady, almost bored. Not trembling with regret, not laced with guilt, but dripping with the kind of arrogance that assumes you'll swallow anything without question. I already have plans tonight with someone else. It wasn't the words that made my hand falter, spilling wine across the counter. It was the way she lingered on those last two. Someone else. Cold, casual, dismissive. I froze in the kitchen doorway. Glass, trembling between my fingers. Claire, my wife, my partner of 8 years, didn't even bother looking up from her phone. Her lips curled, just slightly. A faint smirk that told me she had already written my response in her head. I didn't ask who. I didn't ask why. I just stared. And in that silence, something inside me splintered. Looking back, the signs had been lined up in plain sight. The late-night messages she brushed off as work. The sudden insistence that she needed space. The unfamiliar perfume on her clothes. Subtle, but undeniable. I noticed all of it, but like a fool still clinging to hope, I buried the suspicions. I told myself it was stress, a phase, something that would fade if I gave her room. But in that moment, hearing her voice strip away the last pretense, I knew she wasn't pretending anymore. "Who is he?" I asked finally. My tone wasn't angry, wasn't raised. It was quiet, steady, the unsettling calm before a storm. That got her attention. She looked up, her eyes narrowing. "Don't start this again, Daniel. Just a friend. I told you I need time to clear my head." I gave a dry laugh, bitter and hollow. "And now, clearing your head requires a hotel." Her fingers hesitated over the screen, but only for a second. "You're paranoid." That word. Always that word. The one people throw out like a weapon to make you doubt yourself, to make you feel insane for noticing what's right in front of you. I didn't argue, didn't accuse. I just smiled faintly, nodded, and gave her 7 words that stopped her halfway to the door. "Have fun. Don't rush back on my account." Her brow furrowed just for a moment, but she didn't question me. Person, hand heels, striking the wood floor like a ticking clock. She walked out, and I stood there listening to the sound of my marriage leaving with her. The hours crawled by, imagining where she was, and started remembering the patterns I had ignored. The anniversary she brushed off. The girls' nights that never had photos. The phone she now kept under her pillow like a shield. The truth wasn't something I had to chase anymore. She had tossed it into my lap, careless and cruel, like spare change she no longer valued. When she came home the next morning, fatigue painted over her usual polished confidence, but the smirk was still there. "You're up early," she said lightly, sliding off her coat. "I didn't sleep," I answered flatly. She hesitated, eyes flickering. "Daniel, we've talked about this. You need to stop turning everything into 'I know.'" My voice cut sharp, slicing through hers. "You had plans with someone else." "I heard you." Her lips parted, ready with another excuse. But I didn't let her continue. "I don't care who he is. I don't care where you went. I just need you to understand something." She blinked, confusion flickering across her face. "What? The man you left here last night? The one who trusted you, who made excuses for you, who thought this marriage still meant something. He's gone. You broke him, and you don't get him back." For the first time in months, I saw her mask slip. The arrogance faded. Her voice cracked. "Daniel, what are you saying?" I stood, walked past her, and set a manila envelope on the counter. "I called a lawyer 3 weeks ago. You made your choice long before last night." Her face drained of color. "You? You're divorcing me?" I met her eyes. "No, you divorced me the moment you decided to spend your nights with someone else." She sank into a chair, her hands trembling for once, fear flickering in her eyes. Not the fear of anger or shouting, but the kind that comes when you realize the person you thought would always forgive you has finally walked away. "Daniel, I didn't mean for it to go this far," she whispered. I almost laughed. "You meant for it to go just far enough, didn't you? Far enough to test the waters? Far enough to see if he was better? Far enough to keep me here as your safety net?" Her silence was all the confirmation I needed. The days that followed blurred together, dividing accounts, moving into a friend's spare room, shutting down what used to be our life. She texted constantly, sometimes furious, sometimes apologetic, sometimes begging for another chance. But betrayal doesn't rip you apart in one clean strike. It seeps in slowly, draining color and warmth until all that's left is emptiness. A week later, she appeared at my office, disheveled, eyes red, hair unkempt, not the composed Claire I once knew. "Can we talk?" she asked. I leaned back, folding my arms. "I messed up," she admitted, voice breaking. "I don't even know why. I just felt like you stopped seeing me. I let the words hang in the air and you thought he did." She didn't answer. "I saw you every day, Claire," I said quietly. "I saw the unhappiness, and I kept trying to fix it. But you wanted excitement, something new, something that didn't remind you of bills and laundry and everyday life." Her tears spilled fast, now real this time. "I thought you'd fight for me." "I did," I whispered. "Every day I stayed when you'd already left in your heart. That was me fighting for you, but I'm done fighting someone who doesn't want to stay." She reached out, but I stepped back. For the first time, she looked small. Not strong, not sharp, just someone who gambled and lost. "You don't have to hate me," she murmured. "I don't," I replied. "Hating you would take effort. I just don't care anymore." After that, the divorce moved quickly. She tried to stall, to argue over terms, but I had proof. Texts, photos, the timeline. It wasn't revenge. It was closure. When the papers were signed, she sent me one final message. "I didn't think you'd actually let go." I stared at it for a long while before replying. "You let go first. You cut the rope and expected me to hang on alone?" Months passed. Friends asked if I'd ever take her back, if she changed, if she begged. My answer never wavered. No, not out of bitterness. Not from hatred, but because once someone shows you what they're willing to risk for a taste of excitement, you can never build a home on that ground again. Love can withstand arguments. It can survive distance, but indifference kills it quietly. And that was the slow poison in us long before her affair began. Sometimes I replay that night, the way she stood in the doorway casually announcing her plans with someone else. I wonder if shouting or begging or following her would have changed things. But then I remember her expression that night. The way she looked at me. Not like a husband, not like her closest friend, but like an obstacle in her way. And that's when I understood. The worst part wasn't her betrayal. The worst part was knowing she expected me to stay anyway.